Okay, on your mark, get set, go. So we have a problem. Being a roaming engineer, I've had the distinct pleasure of working with lots of companies here in the States. Concerning DevOps, the execution of lean concepts applied to operations, in almost every circumstance I've found myself in, I've discovered the same striking observation. You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means. Of course, with DevOps being the hot new concept off the presses, it's likely to be expected to some degree of confusion and self-definition will exist. After all, in computing, unlike formal engineering disciplines, we simply make things up as we go and deal with the consequences later. It's a beautiful yet terrifying dichotomy that enables us to simultaneously be gloriously innovative and yet dismally repetitive. Yeah. As I found myself in many interesting situations, I thought it prudent to provide two common misconceptions I've observed in my travels. As a disclaimer, please understand that I sit on the development side of the DevOps world, so well-designed code gets me way more excited than administrating bare metal server farms and writing IP tables rules, which are actually a thing of nightmares. Common misconception number one, DevOps is insert the blank. This one comes along with statements like, well, our code's being compiled when our engineers check it in, so we're doing DevOps, right? We're using Jenkins pushing containers to Artifactory. We use Gulp and Mocha with Phantom.js for our front-end testing and task orchestration. And we just bought a Selenium license, and we're looking into a SOAP UI for automated testing. What do you think? Well, I think that's great. You have a lot of money to spend, and we should talk about a support contract. Never mind the fact that your engineers are dealing with 4 lower lifecycle environments, all of which are completely different, along with sinking 30 grand or so for 3 vendors to provide test beds for the engineers to develop against, half of which they don't work, right? Clearly, automation is too much work, and it produces a strong drag on the engineering process, and it's not worth the upfront cost. Instead, we'll just buy the very first silver bullet product that someone pitches to us. Right, that's how I feel. I think DevOps isn't a tool, or it's not a grouping of tools, right? Oftentimes, people become attached to the hype and the marketing produced by sales machines. Remember big data? Yeah. Similar to fine craftsman engineers who understand DevOps concepts and in-depth solve problems with tools, not create problems to justify the existence of licensing a specific tool. As an addendum, most of the shinies that I mentioned earlier are really just a part of a healthy, functioning engineering pipeline and not really anything to do with DevOps, right? It's kind of a square peg and a round hole kind of deal, right? And as a companies, we just really want to make that thing fit, so we just pound away with whatever technology we can use and throw against it. The problem is it usually just doesn't work, and we end up with a spaghetti mess. Common misconception number 2, DevOps is a person, a single person. So that one is obviously not true. Some people may argue with me on this, and I'm happy for the criticism, but I'm going to stick to my story, mainly because I'm not out to get you fired if you hold a DevOps title, but I believe that it's a horizontal concern understood and executed by many people, not just a vertical role executed by one superhero in your organization, right? Puppet Labs has a very interesting article, Represent, defining the roles of a DevOps engineer. And that simply says, the DevOps engineer encapsulates depth of knowledge and years of hands-on experience. You're battle-tested. The person blends the skills of a BA with the technical chops to build the solution. Plus, they know the business well. They can look at how an issue affects the entire company. Well, if you've ever worked on a truly lean engineering shop, you know that the engineers usually get the business, right? If you were out, if only there were a ceremony in Agile that where a team has finished a sprint, they do a demo, talk about what's built, how they built it, and how it affects the business. It's very clear that lean concepts are pervasive and deeply influence DevOps ideology on both sides. Just read CD and then the Phoenix Project cover to cover in sequence. Jez and Gene are clearly describing lean concepts as applied to both sides of the equation, and these ideologies go hand in hand. So I would actually argue that DevOps canon is simply an extension of lean engineering concepts into the operations team. Surprisingly, not many folks in industry see the connection. Instead of a vertical role capable of building yet another ivory tower in our midst, DevOps becomes another competency that engineers and operations need to understand, much like when we all had to learn the dreaded JavaScript, thanks Node, or build things in the mythical cloud. To be clear, however, I don't think that this means that operations teams disappear or are folded into engineering groups. It simply means that just like businesses and engineering have to work together to create fast feedback loops to ideate and build the glorious product, operations and engineering must work together with fast feedback loops in order to pave the glorious golden road to production. Business gets software, Engineers get to go home, and everyone's happy. In a DevOps world, everyone's a hero, and no one hates going to production. It's a cultural shift and a change of mindset that couldn't come any sooner.